This is my 4th pregnancy. This job has some interesting things about being pregnant. Unbelievable, that was very close. Good morning, or you know. And yeah, today I will be taking you around my day as a pregnant flight attendant. I don't know if you saw, probably not, but we are pregnant with our 4th child. And so later in the video, as I go through the day, I'm going to talk about, so if you're at all curious how pregnant flight attendants do it, and or if you're a flight attendant wanting to know more about pregnancy and how that's going to work with your FMLA and stuff like that, stay tuned. I'm rushing. It's 7:25 and my flight's at 7:45. I am going from Las Vegas to Los Angeles today for kind of a random trip. So yeah, it's always hard to leave. Super hard. Worst part of the whole thing is over though. It's like the night before and then the morning leaving. It's like, but once I'm here, it's all good. Once again, I have made it on the flight. I have a lucky commuting star, I tell you what. Grateful. This is kind of fun. I did like my first flight attendant vlog right as I was doing this walk. Yeah, so I'm in LA, and why I said it's kind of a strange day is because I was supposed to start the day in San Francisco and have a deadhead here, which means that you're just a passenger. So I chose to not do that and then just come straight over to LA, where I have just a tiny little round trip where we don't even do a service or anything. And then the last flight of the day is no service to Tucson, or I mean not a no service, a deadhead. So like I kind of have an easy day, and then tomorrow I just have one flight in the morning and I'm done. So pretty nice deal. As I mentioned, this is my 4th pregnancy. I have a little bump. This job has some interesting things about being pregnant, right? Like you can fly and there's really no restrictions on flying if your doctor says so. But I'll have to tell you the story of my first pregnancy, not to scare you, but just as one of those things where like I thought flying during pregnancy was totally safe, but then I had kind of a scare. Whew. Okay, I'm here. A few minutes to spare. The RJ 700. It's only a little better than my little Barbie jet that I love to fly. And so we have two flight attendants on here. And lo and behold, she's from Vegas as well, so that's kind of fun. We're talking about the commute. But yeah, so these are no service flights, which means that they're too short to do any sort of service. So, you know, we just go through all the safety stuff, go up and down and back. And here, I'll be back here momentarily, but yeah, this is all I have to do today, so. It's like one of those things, it's like, yeah, I'm working, but I gotta like click my brain in right now that I'm like working. So one thing about being a flight attendant is I just got hit with hunger so bad, and we were like delayed, and now we're running over to get our deadhead, and I'm like, mama's gotta eat. So I got some food, but it was kind of do or die there for a minute. It wouldn't be so bad except for this little sign, and I turned it up to 74, but it's 64 currently in the room, saying like, no, you can't turn it up, and I'm a frozen popsicle being from Vegas. So yeah, that would be annoying even if I wasn't pregnant. We're only here for a really quick overnight. It's 10 hours. And I'll quickly tell you about my pregnancies. So my first pregnancy with Julietta, it was in 2012. Yeah, 2012. And so I was working full time. So I worked a lot, and then Alex's best friend Alex was getting married in France during when I was 35 weeks. And I was like, well, you know, we'll see how it goes, but honestly, why couldn't I go? You know, probably get first class. It was, and what's the big deal, right? My naive self and my doctor, God bless her soul, was like, yeah, whatever, you're a flight attendant, you'll figure it out, your body will be used to it. And I got over to France, and lo and behold, started to bleed in the middle of the night. And I got rushed to the emergency room, and all the doctors there were like, yeah, you're going into preterm labor. What are you doing here in France, madame? And I had a hard time explaining that. And so, long story short, I think I've talked about it in other vlogs, but I, like, against everyone's advice, made it back to the US. Going in, like having contractions like minutes apart as I went to check in for our flight, and it was just insane. We got home and went into the hospital, and what they said is the bleeding could be from a placental abruption, which can happen to cocaine users, flight attendants, and there's like another risk group. If anybody knows, comment below. And so I was like, what? How have I never heard about this? And they said, well, yeah, the pressure changes and stuff can do that. So I was in the hospital a few days. I got sent home. I started bleeding again. I got sent back. And then she came, like, I think on the third day of that. So she came within a week of us getting home from France. And very dramatic. But so that was my most dramatic pregnancy. With the next two, I was on high risk and went out of work way earlier, which was smart, and went completely off leave, really maybe like in the third or fourth month. Being a flight attendant, if you do have some issues, you should be able to go like on a full leave of absence. And with my position, they gave me 12 weeks after the babies, and it was really hard to come back, because what happened with my job is that they put me on a reserve schedule. So, you know, I wasn't reserve. I was a line holder, which means I have a schedule. But you have to play it just right with all like the dates and everything, or else they just like, well, the month you come back, or the next 2 months you have to be on reserve until you get back on a normal schedule. Well, that means that you're doing like 5 days on call at a time in a different base, you know, and I'm like, I'm breastfeeding a child. How's that ever gonna work? Like, that would never work. And so now anybody I talk to who's in my company who's thinking about getting pregnant, I'm like, you gotta watch those dates, because it's like you have to have all your paperwork in to return to work. Like, sometimes 6, with Louis, I had my paperwork in like 4 weeks after I had the baby, so that I could avoid that situation. And I still came back at 12 weeks. I think I'll only work like a couple more months and then be off, because, well, that's the bad thing though, is that when you're off on leave, you don't have flight benefits, at least in my company, and that's the pits. So it's like, as soon as we go out, yeah, my mom can't even like fly on my benefits to come down and help out or whatever. So it's kind of like, well, anything we want to do, we have to figure out with that. But safety first and health first. So I just went to the doctor and everything looks good, and it's super great timing, and me and Alex are really excited. You know, we're really hoping for a little boy, but we would be super happy with a little girl. It's like a little girl is great for the long run because I love having girls and girls stay close to their mamas. But it would be super nice for Louis to have a brother to go run around and play balls with. Or whatever the next one's obsessed with. So we'll see. I'm not too worried about it. It's terrible lighting in here. Yeah, you can't really see anything. Okay, here we go. Now I can see. So I just look like really thick. I look like I just had a really big dinner, which I did. I ate really fast. Starting the day out pretty random. My hair's all wet. My blow dryer was like the weakest excuse for a blow dryer ever. So here we go. I'm still wet hair. Ooh, we have 45 people going to San Fran. It's a 2-hour flight, but that's all I do today. Then I gotta get myself home. So I'm going to my next flight, but it's a couple hours away, but I mean, it's departing a couple hours from now. But coincidentally, the woman I'm flying with is also from Las Vegas. And so we're gonna kind of be competing for seats, which is a little awkward. So she's like already raced over there, I assume to try and get in front of the line of me, but it should be based on seniority. I don't know how Virgin works. That's what I'm trying to fly on. So we'll see. This is non-revving. I just missed the flight, or I didn't get on the one flight, so I ran over and jumped on an LA flight. Just, I don't know. So yeah, I jumped on that flight from San Francisco to LAX to see if the flights look any better over here, and I thought they did, but I'm trying to get on a flight right now, and it looked all good, and I got my hopes up, and then they started offering people $800 to get off the flight. So I really don't know what's going on. I've got to see if I can go check on this American flight that's in a different terminal. Unbelievable. That was very close. So I'm in Vegas, but things escalated quickly there. Barely was the only person to get on to Las Vegas. Finally home. It's Mama. Mama.
She's in Los Angeles.
Hello.
I was telling when that's away.
We're all snuggled up.
Hello, my sweet girl.
Oh yeah,
Sleep right away.
Oh, that's great. You
This
guys
one
are the
went to
best
sleep
friends.
watching Coco.
You have to say hi because you guys saved my life today.
Coco worked. Coco worked.
Tell me what it is. Let's see yours, Chooch. Oh my goodness, guys. You know how to cheer a mama up. I missed you.